Watch news videos and bulletins on the go.
नमस्कार. आयच्या या खाशेल्या कार्यावळीत तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. आणि आज ही कार्यावळ आमी अशी विशयाचेर करता जाचेर म्हाका दिसता गोंयभर सगळ्यांक उमळशीक आसा. आनी तो फाटल्या सप्तकान CVOTERान जो सर्वे केल्लो आनी जाचे रिजल्ट्स गोंयभर सर्क्युलेट जायत आसा. आनी ह्या रिजल्टांचेर उलोवपा खातीर आज आमकां खास जॉइन जातात डायरेक्टर ऑफ CVOTER YASHWANT DESHMUKH. Yashwantji, welcome to the show. Let me start with a very simple question. How was this exercise carried out, and what was your experience of Goa? Because usually when it comes to small state like ours, generally pollsters don't give it any value or importance.
No. Goa, or for matter any other state, is very, very important for us. You might have actually, those who are following the news at the national level, you will realize that in the last 25 years, every time there is a election in a smaller state, they get clubbed with the elections with the bigger state.
Yeah.
But we make it a point, no matter how difficult it is for us or expensive it is, that because it's part of our journey. Together as an Indians, we must celebrate this dance of democracy. So the mandate in Goa is equal, as important as the mandate in UP for me. It's no less important from any perspective. But yes, conducting the survey in a smaller state is challenging because of a thumb rule that smaller the universe, the larger the sample size. You are supposed to take bigger sample in Goa than in Uttar Pradesh sometimes. So these are the challenges. But we are trying to do, and hopefully we will do more surveys. We are doing a tracker now, as you are aware, and hopefully we will be updating this tracker every month till the elections are over.
Everybody was shocked to hear and see the numbers that you put out. Let us touch those numbers first, and then we'll go to the finer details. You projected a 22% vote share for Aam Aadmi Party, almost 39% vote share for Bharatiya Janata Party, and a 15% vote share for the Congress. And then you translated it into the seats. How do you see this translation? Because many people are surprised with these numbers. How do you analyze them?
Well, let me tell this thing to your viewers upfront, absolutely in full integrity. The exercise or the science of survey research starts and stops at the estimation of the vote share. The projection of seat share is never a part of the survey research or survey science, unless you are doing an individual survey for each and every seat. Which for my surprise, like somebody like you have done in the last elections.
Yes.
But if you are doing a state-wise sample, then your survey science would stop at the estimation of the vote share. After that, it just becomes a mathematical extrapolation that if so many seats are there, what could be the proportion of seats? And there are different algorithms, different formulas which the scientists and the survey scientists and psephologists, they arrive. You will be surprised to know that if the same vote share is given, then 10 different psephologists might come up with 10 different seat share projection with the same vote share. So that happens. However, having said that, many a times we have seen that at least for the vote share calculation, our estimation has been bang on. We don't really get the vote share estimations wrong by a long mind. If you will ask me, if Aam Aadmi Party is getting 22% vote share right now, then it comes obviously with a margin of error, which the estimate says that plus minus 3% of the 22%. That means Aam Aadmi Party in the estimation is ranging somewhere between 19% to 25%, but the middle point is 22%. That's why we have given 22%. So that's how it is there. And one more thing which I would very much like to clearly tell. Many people or many newspapers actually have written that CVOTER says that Aam Aadmi Party will be getting these many in 22 assembly elections. No, that is a wrong way of reporting. The tracker of the survey research tells you the data as on today. That if the elections would have happened as on today, then the survey is telling.
But
that
Yashwant,
as on today,
when you
these
translate
many votes would-
when you translate that vote share into seat share, that is where the second surprise comes in.
Yeah.
The BJP still looks way ahead, followed by the Aam Aadmi Party and then the Congress. How do you explain that?
Well, first of all, regardless of what seat or vote you are looking at, I get to see varied reactions by the BJP supporters on the social media and even their leaders. But as honestly speaking, as a psephologist in my own data, I don't see anything worth celebrating for the BJP.
Okay.
I'm very, very upfront about it. And I can explain you why. I see more of a red and danger signals for the BJP rather than something in Goa, rather than them being very happy about this data. Their seat share is looking out of proportion because of the gap between the number 1 and number 2 and number 3.
Okay.
If the vote share gap increases, sometimes parties do end up with a disproportionate number of seats, and this we have seen in many cases. In case of Aam Aadmi Party, the party which is probably his second election in Goa, sometimes the new party, it is very difficult to assess the seat share. For example, when Aam Aadmi Party first contested in Delhi in 2013, we did tell that they are getting about 27% votes, but we are unable to judge the seats simply because there is no electoral history to that new party. No, not such electoral history. So it becomes very, very difficult, actually next to impossible, to calculate or translate the vote share into seat share. But right now, the BJP is looking ahead simply because others are falling down.
Because others are very, very interesting. We'll go to that. We'll go to the first graph of this program, and it's a very interesting graph that you have not put out earlier, and it is how much satisfied were you with the state government performance. And the numbers are very interesting. Very much satisfied, 32.2%. Satisfied to some extent is 45.9. Not satisfied at all is 21.7. And don't know, can't say is only 0.3. Yashwantji, how do you look at these numbers?
Well, in general, we put up a formula like net satisfaction, where total number of satisfied people minus the dissatisfied people. If you go by that formula, it looks like among the 5 states where the poll is going to happen, looks like Goa is the most satisfied state. But that's not the real picture, because the real picture is the number where people are saying satisfied to some extent. Now, satisfied to some extent is also actually dissatisfied to some extent. It just depends on how you read the data, right? So if you add to that number to dissatisfied to some extent, then you will say that, okay, big number of people are dissatisfied. If you will add the satisfied to some extent to satisfaction extent, then you will say like, oh, a lot many people are satisfied. But the fact is that about a third of Goa, I would say, is satisfied, and about an equal number is like dissatisfied, and in between there is a huge mass which is partially satisfied.
Are these fence sitters?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why very critical for you to read the data for other states as well, because when you look into the data, context of this data, people who are very much satisfied.
If we can have that graph of other states, we can discuss, because this is in relation with that, because other 4 states that are going for polls with Goa, this is the
Now you see very carefully. You see very carefully the very much satisfied column. There the maximum satisfaction is in UP. This is like core satisfied. So you can expect that BJP can score almost up to 45%. Even if you take the margin of error, then probably minimum lower side of 42% for that. But in Goa's case, you will find that this middle block of this swing voter or the satisfied to some extent is the biggest block across all the states. The non-committal block, which is like very, very treading cautiously. They are satisfied with certain thing, dissatisfied with certain other thing. Or in other words, I can also say that Goa, there is a biggest block of swing voter when you compare it to the other states. So BJP you see, almost other states you will find it 16, 19, 20, 31 at the all India level. But for Goa it is almost like 34%, right? So obviously, if you are going to the not satisfied at all, you will see very clearly Punjab is the state where maximum anger is there against the sitting government.
Okay.
So I am very much certain that Punjab might happen a anti-incumbent verdict for sure. In Uttarakhand also, you can see a huge number of dissatisfied people. But Uttarakhand equations, because of the Congress situation there, is very weird. So
Yeah.
I am putting this data in the context for you to see, to understand one thing, that the biggest block of swing voters, or the biggest block of what you can say fence sitters, happen to be in Goa.
In Goa.
From the data.
Which is
you are the right expert actually.
No, Ashwantji, I'll tell you,
if I am right or wrong.
we conducted 3 seat-wise surveys during last election, and in our first survey conducted in August, similar time, the data was very much similar. The BJP was showing around 20 to 22 seats. We did a second one in October, the BJP was down to 18, and we did a third one in December, the BJP was down to 16. And
Exactly.
when the
And
election actually took place, they came down to 13. So it's not very dissimilar. That's why those fence sitters are very interesting. We'll go to the second graph, which is very important in terms of Goa dynamics, and that is how much satisfied are you with the performance of the chief minister. And this is again, because we are talking about the fence sitter, this is very, very interesting. Very much satisfied is 24.7. Satisfied to some extent is 53.6. Not satisfied at all is 20.7, and don't know, can't say is 1.1. Very simple question, Yashwantji. When it comes to satisfaction with the government, it is around 46. But when it, as far as the satisfaction to some extent, the fence sitters, when it comes to the government's performance, it is 46%. The percentage goes up here to almost 54%. When it comes to the performance of the chief minister and the fence sitters. How do you look at it? And how worrying this is for the chief minister?
this should be worrying actually, not just for the party in power, but also for the opposition. And I have an argument for that.
Okay.
Because, first for the chief minister, it should be worrying that, even after a few years in office, he could not actually convert the entire popularity rating in a net positive state. Maybe, he is in a very weird situation of following it up with a stalwart like Manohar Parrikar, who was like really high on his popularity ratings. And, people will always keep on comparing anybody who comes next with the high of Manohar Parrikar. So maybe that is something which I would not judge him for that. But from the opposition perspective, I would say that even from the high of Manohar Parrikar, the opposition probably could not pin him down to be on the negative side either. So what I feel when I look at the data, and I don't know, as I said that you are the expert and I don't know much about the local politics and local angle, but when I look into the data from 30 states across India and look into the chief minister's report of all the 30 states, somehow the Goa chief minister looks to me from a data perspective as somebody who has not really inculcated too much of anger, personal anger against him, but he has not really gathered too many plus points either.
How do you look at that figure when it comes to the fence sitter from 46% when it comes to the performance of government to 54% when it comes to the performance of chief minister? That rise of almost 8%, how do you look at it?
I look at it in a way that it depends on how the people have looked into chief minister's personal conduct on many things. And when I say many things, there is public opinion, Pramodji, is a cumulative exercise.
Yeah.
I don't form an opinion about you on one or the two things. It becomes a thing which keeps on hammering day in and day out, and over a period of time, I might have a good or bad impression about any leader. However, I believe that the way the government was formed after the last election, that has a lot to do with a lot much of not so positive rating about the government or the CM and other one in that way. And while that negativity got away slightly because Manohar Parrikar came in slightly for a timing before his unfortunate death. But after that, the way this government, this BJP has taken in the opposition, breaking away the parties and adding in all sort of elements and then kicking out some old trusted allies. That is something which probably has not gone down well with many of the voters and electorate.
Okay.
Because public opinion is also about the net sum
Yes.
of your image.
So you are saying there are two very predominant factors when it comes to this kind of a not very stellar positivity that the government is attracting. Number one, people still believe that this government is installed without a mandate, and the conduct thereafter. These are the two factors. These are the two factors. Then very interesting, you mentioned the opposition. Let us see the third graph, and which is very interesting, is the performance of the leader of opposition. Now this is a very interesting graph. This is very much satisfied is 10.2%. Satisfied to some extent is 36.6. Not satisfied at all is 35.5. Don't know, can't say is 17.8. This is the two observations here from my side. Suddenly the don't know, can't say number goes exorbitantly high compared to the other questions. And it is satisfied to some extent and not satisfied at all are almost similar. What do you make of this, Yashwantji, that people expect more from the opposition and they were not getting it up till this point, at least when the survey was conducted?
If you want me to sum up these two graphics together, I would say people are angry with the government and angrier with the opposition.
Okay.
I mean, does that make any sense to you?
No, it absolutely it perfectly makes sense to me, because the kind of politics,
even more disappointed with the opposition.
Yeah, the kind of politics we have seen post 2017, it absolutely makes sense to me.
So, that's pretty much is that. And generally speaking, don't know, can't say is a sentiment which comes into 1-2%, and it's not. But don't know, can't say becomes a very strong opinion of its own. For example, I tell you, I mean, we are right now in Karnataka getting a huge number of don't know, can't says as far as the chief minister is concerned.
Okay.
But you know what? I take that as a positively, because till the point of time Mr. Yediyurappa was removed, the red line of dissatisfaction was very high. The moment he was removed, that the red line came down and the don't know, can't say went up, which is like an emotion or sentiment that we are still judging the new guy. We are looking at it, but we are not angry anymore. But in this case, it's not that they are judging the opposition. In this case, it's more of a sheer disappointment. In this case, it's more of an anger that the last mandate was given to the opposition. Still, the opposition gave it away to the BJP. The way the opposition is unable to keep their flock together, the way the opposition is not moving together, and when I say not opposition, it largely denotes to Congress. I am not talking about AAP, because AAP so far has not been seen as an opposition party as such. I mean, it's a new kid on the block. So basically, post 2017, the kind of turn Goa's politics took, people are angry and disappointed with the ruling as well as the opposition. Absolutely.
That takes me to the next very interesting question, is how much satisfied are you with the performance of your local MLA? Now, this is not a constituency-wise breakup, but in general feeling regarding the sitting MLA across Goa. So very much satisfied is 36.5. Satisfied to some extent is 27.6. Not satisfied at all is 34.6, and don't know, can't say is 1.4. Almost not satisfied and satisfied to some extent. If you take both these percentages, they are really very, very high. Yashwantji, how do you look at this?
With my experience, across other states and everything, if you will broadly ask me, how does this explain on the ground? I would tell you that, suppose I'm giving a hypothetical scenario. Suppose all the 40 MLAs, they go into the election as on today, all 40 of them.
Yeah.
Only 1/3 of them are likely to be re-elected regardless of which party they belong.
Yeah. In rest of the seats, it can go either way.
No, it cannot. I can tell you that rest of them are going to lose.
So if elections, this is very important. If elections are held today, you are saying only 1/3 of the sitting will be returned back to the assembly.
The way I am looking at this data,
Only 1/3 will be returned back to the assembly.
Yeah, because what happens is that when the MLA ratings are to some extent satisfaction generally ends up on the negative side.
Yeah.
Because the work which the MLA is unable to do or the people are upset with that MLA is unlikely, if that MLA hasn't worked for 4.5 years. In the last 6 months, it is impossible for him or her to complete whatever the backlog is there.
Yeah, and get rid of the negativity.
Yeah. The only way that MLA can be re-elected if the opposition gives even a more hopeless candidate than this sitting MLA. So a lot of anger against the sitting MLAs. That is something which should worry to all the parties, including the BJP.
Yeah. Now we come to the very, very interesting and very, very important graph, and that is preferred CM candidate. And this is very interesting. Dr. Pramod Sawant is at 33.2. On number 2 is a AAP candidate. There is no name there. 13.8. I want Yashwant to tell me how does he decipher this. Vishwajit Rane is on number 3 with 13.6. Sudhin Dhaulikar is on number 4 with 8.8. Ravi Naik and Digambar Kamath both are around 4.5. Luisino Falero is 3.7, and a shocker for me is Atanasio Montserrat, Babush Montserrat for 2.7, and others at 15.2. 3 questions. Let's go one by one, Yashwantji. Number 1, satisfaction as far as the Chief Minister's performance is concerned, and Dr. Pramod Sawant as the preferred candidate, CM candidate. Both these percentages match with each other. But what does this tell us? That almost 67% of the electorate does not want Pramod Sawant as the CM candidate?
It's a top of the mind recall question,
yeah.
And many a times, particularly with the parties with a cadre base, their satisfaction or their preference of the CM and their voting behavior, they go hand in hand. For example, if you look into the Uttar Pradesh data, similar thing, you will figure out that Yogi around 42%, Modi around 43-44%, and BJP polling around 43%. I mean, it's the same kind of thing.
Yes.
More or less, you are watching the same thing, that the CM and the core party boss of the BJP, that is...
Because you are saying that's top of the mind recall.
Yeah, it's 32-33%. So in other words, what you can also look at this data and understand that possibly the bottom line of the BJP or the rock bottom would be somewhere around 30-33%, because this is where the chief minister and the party vote base sinks in together.
Yeah.
That's where. Because the third candidate on the block, Vishwajit Rane, carries a lot of goodwill which comes along with the goodwill of his father.
Yeah.
And where the base has more of a Congress vote rather than the core BJP vote.
Yes.
In that sense. But second candidate on the block is certainly the surprise. And I was trying to explain this to somebody, that saying that this is the Anda candidate. Why I call this an Anda candidate? Because in the social media profiling, all of you have seen in the Facebook or in the Twitter, when people do not put their face, they put up an Anda over there. Now, this Anda profile, that we don't get this Anda profile, say for example in Punjab, where Aam Aadmi Party is probably leading right now as the single largest, because big number of people are saying Arvind Kejriwal should become the Chief Minister of Punjab. But for Goa electorate, it's so funny and very surprising for me to observe. For him, him or her, the Goa voter, Arvind Kejriwal is not the Goa CM. They don't just put him in that way, bracket, somehow. For him, he is the Delhi guy, and you need to have somebody in Goa for Goa. So it has a much more strong local sentiment, identity sentiment, but at the same time, this particular 13-14% vote share is definitely the vote, I would say, which would probably go to Aam Aadmi Party regardless of they put up a CM candidate or not.
I tend to agree with you because when during the last ZP elections, Zilla Panchayat elections, I think Aam Aadmi Party's vote share was hovering around similar figure. So if that is so, then they are maintaining that vote share. At the same time, we need to see how they fare as they come close to the election.
But their handicap is there that unless they put up a face,
yes, absolutely,
they are not going to. Same is with their handicap in Punjab.
Yeah.
Punjab, they are unable to put up the face. So they might be looking as a front runner there.
You are saying the capitalization from here.
Will fizzle away.
You are saying the capitalization from here on needs a face.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how it has happened all the time. We know for sure. Even in Delhi, let's not make any mistake. Delhi's success of Aam Aadmi Party was simply because they had a face of Arvind Kejriwal.
Yeah. I'm completely out of time, Yashwantji, but very quickly now, what is the takeaway for BJP from this?
I don't think that they should be happy from any parameter. They have to really, really work hard on the ground if they want to win Goa. I mean, if these figures are going to make induce complacency in them, then God save them. Yeah. Simply because of the fact, the way the government was formed, the way the horse trading was done, look at the way the people that BJP has taken in and look at the kind of people that it has kicked out. That gives a very, very big qualitative difference. And this fence-sitter voter is right now saying, I am satisfied to some extent simply because opposition is in a really...
But don't count me in.
No, exactly, don't count me in.
Yeah.
Because the moment the opposition, suppose if it gains momentum, the same satisfied to some extent guy will simply switch over to not satisfied at all in a day's time.
Takeaway for Congress?
Takeaway for Congress, it's like, I do feel like it's a complete meltdown at the moment. Because if you look at the Congress leaders, their own, individual support base, 4%, 5%, it totally adds up to the not more than 15% at this point of time. And this should be a big cause of concern for a party. I believe that it's not that people hated Congress in Goa. They feel probably cheated of the mandate. There is a genuine anger against the Congress for not forming the government, for not even trying to form the government. There is a genuine anger against that, and that has given space for Aam Aadmi Party to get soak in those.
So what's the takeaway for Aam Aadmi Party?
Put up a face, man. Without a face, you have nothing to do, you know. But their groundswell is interesting. And many people tell me that in a smaller state, like candidates are important and there is a candidate season where candidates go this way and that way. Believe me, trust me, it is critical and important. But when the groundswell reaches a critical mass, like it reached in Delhi, then even without a candidate, Aam Aadmi Party won there. But for that, it is important to have a face. Where
you need to have either of the two.
Exactly, either of the two. Exactly. Because for Lok Sabha elections, majority of the BJP voters vote for Modi, not for the sitting MP.
Absolutely. Final, Yashwantji, there are smaller parties like MGP and Goa Forward and others. What's the takeaway for them?
Well, I think for MGP, I find a substantial fraction is still there, but I don't know if they can win on their own. For them, it is important to get into alliance with somewhere. If they go with the BJP still, it would be a good thing for them, both the parties. But BJP right now would be overconfident and they are not unlikely to welcome them in. But if MGP goes with the Aam Aadmi Party, that could be a formidable opposition. For the Goa Forward, I think the numbers are not very encouraging at this point of time, because of their switch off and switch on and like that. some issue of credibility crisis has come in. Nevertheless, it would be interesting how good candidates they put in, considering that their MLAs have stuck together by and large, and they have won anti-incumbent mandate last time.
Yeah.
But again, it's a multiplier factor. I genuinely believe that in a two-front scenario, it is better for the smaller parties to get their energies together with a larger momentum wherever it is.
Yeah.
Then only the multiplier effect comes into play.
Yeah. Final question. Is BJP's biggest advantage right now fragmented opposition?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, yes. Okay. I think, Deshwantji, thanks a lot for the time. I know because these are finer details of your survey, which nationally might not make much sense to put out, but for us, this is very, very important and crucial. So thanks a lot for sharing them with us, and thanks a lot for such wonderful insights. I think as we go closer to the election, we shall have more interactions like this.
Absolutely.
It is real.
It was a pleasure. We are doing a tracker, and we are likely to continue coming up with the updates.
It is a real pleasure having you on the show. I think people of Goa would love to see you again and again.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Yashwantji. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.